No, do move.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for your patience. We were having technical difficulties, and hopefully now all the techno demons have dispersed, and we shall have a lovely chat. So, welcome to Writers Workshop, where we discuss a nonfiction writing book once a month. I am your host. My name is Tamara Wiz. This is my channel where I talk about books and writing. And I would love for my lovely co-hosts to introduce themselves. We'll start with Lisa and work our way back to me.
Fantastic. Hi, everybody. I'm Lisa Daly, and I'm an author of contemporary romance and nonfiction dating advice. And over on my channel, we talk about how to get a book published and write something you're really proud of. Not in that order. Okay, good. CJ, sorry, it's that day.
You did great.
Hi, I'm CJ Blair. I'm a writer of things. I am unpublished as of now, but we write more or less over Sarah Weber's channel, doing the kind of nutso things that she instigates there. And once I'm here on Tamara's channel.
Huzzah! And Miss Caro.
Hi, my name is Kara Brown. I'm an urban fantasy and a romance author. And last, 2 weeks ago, I came out with a short story in the Only One Bed anthology. And I don't like my internet today. I don't like it.
Well, I'm at least glad that you were able to bring it on back. So today we are talking about creating character arcs, the masterful author's guide to uniting story structure, plot, and character development by K.M. Weiland. There's no way for me to remember the tagline.
The masterful author's guide to uniting. Oh, it just switched. Story something. There we go. Here. I can't. I'm done. I only got halfway through. Story, structure, plot, and character development. Sorry, it just swapped in my Kindle.
Yeah, there's no way for me to remember that.
Very long. It's very long.
But if anyone's interested, if you are wanting to know about this book, we're going to give you our honest thoughts. And if you want to purchase it, there will be a link in the description. And if you think it's not for you, then you're welcome.
It's also available in 3 different formats because you've got the physical, the Kindle, and it has an audiobook one as well.
Oh, is there an audiobook?
Mm-hmm.
That's
good. Super helpful.
Yeah.
So
That's nice.
I am aware of K.M. Weiland way before we came across this book. I've been reading her blog for years. She's very helpful. She also has a YouTube channel. And she was a special guest once for #WriteStuff, which is the tweet chat that I host every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, which there's information about that in the description. So just just to be transparent. So I guess I was a little biased towards this book, and I was already excited to read it before we started. So what were your general thoughts about the way this book was set up and structured? Did you find it helpful? Did you like the quotes she used? What did you think about it?
I actually stumbled across this book when I was doing my massive rewrite of my book, because one of the things that my editor at the time had said was that my main character just didn't have any growth or change. So when I went looking for a book, this is one of the first ones that came up, and I got the Kindle version and then ended up getting the audiobook version. And I found the way that it was structured actually to be really useful because in the book, she does use a couple of different references when she's talking about the examples. So she's got the Lion King, she's got Thor, she's got Grapes of Wrath. She's got lots of different examples to use to talk about the different character arcs that happen in the story. And then she kind of analyzes them in various places. So I thought that was really useful. And I really liked that she spent a lot of time talking about the positive character arc more than the other two, because that's the one that people usually end up leaning towards.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, that was the one that I concentrated the most on while I was reading it, because that's the one that will be in my current book, Bailed Out. So it was let's read this a bit, take some notes, and get lost in rethinking some of Freya's arc for that book. So I found it really helpful. What do you think, Lisa?
I also found it really helpful. I had not read this book before, and I really liked it. I thought there was a ton of really good information in there. I liked the way that she set it up. Like Caro, I really liked the fact that she uses examples from a really wide variety of different stories, and they're so sort of common, like The Lion King or oh my gosh, I just lost Scrooge.
No, Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol.
Thank you, Christmas Carol. I was going to say Christmas Story, and I'm like, that's not right. Christmas Carol, and a variety of other ones, like
So
stories that
story.
you know, right? And so you can go, oh, okay, like I remember when that happened, and it really helps to illuminate maybe things that you might be unclear on. And also, I really like the part at the end of the book. She sort of talks about how to do character arcs in a series, and like you ladies, I have not written a series, and it is something that I plan to do eventually, but it's one of those things where I'm like, ooh, I have no idea where to start with that. And I felt like, okay, I have a better handle on how to do a character arc I know intellectually how to do it, but I felt like I had a much better handle on how that works for a series. So I really liked it. I ordered it on Kindle, but I also ordered it in paperback so that I could have it in my massive writer library of craft books. Yeah,
I love a good paperback. I have so many highlighted things. I love it. CJ, how did you feel while you were reading through this? What did you think? Your thoughts?
So my initial thought was I liked, again, I'm sure I'm going to repeat because I agree with most of the stuff that you guys have said. I really liked the vision into the positive and the negative art. The thing that I liked the best though, was the end of each questions to ask about what is she written about in that section. What?
Your voice cut out, and I realized that you were saying the questions at the end of each chapter. Right?
Yeah, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was,
that was my above and beyond my favorite part.
Yeah, because it was like so she gave you the information. I felt like it was in pretty digestible form. And then you have questions that you follow up with that helps you to workshop the idea for your own character, or at least that's what ended up happening for me. Let's see, what have we?
Go ahead. Oh no, I was just going to say, I agree with you that I felt like that was her intention. That like those questions were so that you could, the way that they were worded, I think that it was so that you could apply that to your work and maybe even your work in progress.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I do think it was intentional.
Yeah, absolutely.
Spence said, I read this a few years ago, and while I couldn't figure out how to apply it in an active sense, it was the first craft book that just imprinted itself on my brain. That says a lot. Even if you couldn't figure out how to directly apply it at the time, I wonder if you've been applying things as you've been writing since then, and maybe it wasn't a conscious thing, you know.
Or if she went back to it now that she's had, another couple of years or whatever of experience, that those things might make sense in a bigger way.
Eve says, I struggle with how to apply a lot of these craft books because picture books are so different, but it's funny what weird things you pick up and can apply in unexpected areas. That is interesting. I could definitely see where it would be, in case some of you aren't aware, Eve writes middle grade books, and there are a lot of picture books. So I can see where that would be difficult because we're talking about like in-depth character arcs. But she does discuss character arcs that are, I can't remember the phrase she put it, but I guess like a bit more shallow or like subplots, so that it's not as a big part of the overarching story.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you think about it too, children's storybooks and middle grade storybooks very often have a positive story arc. Most children's books have some moral or lesson or some, it's something at the end that they're very much structured that way. So it's, you don't often see a flat or a negative story arc in kids' books, but positive is really common.
Yeah, there's usually an objective to it. I remember because I had to take a children's literacy class when I was going through the education program, and one of the parts that we had to actually spend time on was selecting meaningful books for our class. And so, like, in the classroom, you have to look at, like, what's the moral of the story that's going to be told, how is it depicted, and what language is being used to express the concept. So yeah, I know for schools, they always want a meaningful thing with a positive aftertone. They don't want sadness. They're like, no.
There's enough sadness in the world. We don't have to break it down for the 6-year-old yet.
Mm-mm.
We don't have to have it in our picture books.
Yeah, just live with it once we hit teens.
So one of the things I really liked about this, one of the things I really liked about it was the was thinking about editing, in the midst of editing right now. This was still valuable. So it's not just valuable in terms of like a first draft or a drafting. It's valuable throughout the writing process, I would say. Because again, I go back to those questions that you can ask in every stage of your writing.
I agree. And I feel like she discussed that a bit in terms of while you're drafting or like looking back at what you've already written and how you can improve it and make it stronger and make the story that much more engaging. So as you all were reading this, were you able to, did you have a particular character in mind as you were reading this? Or was there a particular arc that you were like, okay, this works with X character and maybe I can do something with this to help this character out in a story that you're writing or something that you're workshopping or whatever?
Yeah, no, I was actually really glad that we started reading this book because I was going through the reverse outline for Pilgrimage of the Cherry Blossoms, and it really helped me to understand that neither of the characters actually had like a really in-depth character arc or like development in the story. And one of the things I really like that she talks about this book, and I've preached about before, but she talks about the lie that the character tells themselves.
Yes.
Yeah, she talks about that. So your character has a lie that they tell themselves, and it could be something like things are better this way, or, it's just, or, power only happens if I have XYZ. It's the thing that ends up being the catalyst for the actual character development and the thing that they have to face in order to grow. And the way that she describes it in pretty much every arc is really phenomenal. And I like the way that she talks about how when you make your character lie, it has to be something that your antagonist ends up using against them. And it's also part of like the darkest hour moment too, because they're facing the truth and they can either accept the lie or they can rebel against it and, develop as a person. So when I was reading, when I got to that part, that was kind of when I was sitting there and looking at my manuscript and like, my character's got no lies,
I think it's really like the book is so well done. I think that it'd be really hard if you're a writer actively writing. I think it would be really hard to read the book without thinking about how it applies to your current work in progress. I definitely did. I was like, and part of the reason was that, again, she simplifies things so much and it really is very easy to digest. But I got the sense she has a very good handle on this. And as I was reading, I'm always looking for problems with a manuscript if I'm struggling with this, and this has taken me a longer time than one that I'm currently working on. And I have certainly thought that probably some of that is due to, you know, what's going on in the world. But
Right.
But it was taking me a while before that. It was longer than my usual process. And so I'm thinking, well, maybe there's some problem. Maybe it's this, maybe it's this. And I didn't find anything huge, but I found some tweaks that I feel are going to make things go more smoothly. We'll see. Stay tuned.
Well, that is wonderful. It's exactly what I want all the time. Whenever we
So
well, I think this was a really good pick. Right. Oh, yes. Here,
the book is Creating Character Arcs, the Masterful Author's Guide to Uniting Story, Structure, Plot, and Character Development by K.M. Weiland. There's a link in the description for Amazon if you're interested.
Yeah. What I really like about this, and this is kind of like a palate cleanser for me, because when we were writing Writing Into the Dark, like his bias was really there. It was so there. And I was just like, you know, it was like one of those take a shot every time he hates an English teacher kind of things, right? But that's not in here. That's not in here at all. Like, not only has she kind of like simplified it and kind of expressed this concept to us, but she's also removed her ego from the writing as well. Like, I think that's what makes this like a really stellar product for me, because the moment I start seeing like an author ego coming into like a craft thing, I'm kind of like, okay, you know, whatever. It's like, I just came to learn about this thing. I don't.
Right. And she does like that. It is also a good example for anybody who writes and does something else. She does a really nice job of using her work sometimes as an example, but it doesn't feel like she's like, find my book, right?
Yeah. Like, she has multiple examples, but also includes her own.
Yes.
One thing I found interesting was she also referenced her other nonfiction books. And as I was reading through it, I feel like, you know, those of us who are on the screen have read one or two craft books. So I wondered, do you think that someone who maybe hasn't read as many would feel a little bit lost in terms of, if not some of the concepts that she was talking about, but just like knowing, you know, what the 3 structure act is? Like, do you feel like there was enough information there that if this was maybe craft book number 1 or 2 or 3, that they would still be able to work with it? Or do you, like,
this was my second craft book, actually. My first craft book that I read was actually like 13 Ways to Make Your Villain. So that was my first craft book, and then this was the second one. And like, I thought the way that she explained everything was really good. And there were some places where I was like, you know, I think I want to learn more about like this concept, you know. But if you don't know anything about what she's talking about, then she gives you enough foundation and an understanding to move on to the topic that she's trying to discuss. And then if you decide that you want to go and do a very long, in-depth research project about the hero's journey, you know, you can go do that too. But for me, I was just kind of, I followed along very well when I first read this.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, because she uses so many examples from stories we all know so well, again, like The Lion King and Christmas Carol, it's really easy to see what she's talking about, even if you're not super familiar with the concept, or if you're not writing your own book yet. Like, this is a book you could read and understand, I think, before you ever started writing. Because they say, okay, the lie in The Lion King is this, the lie in Thor is this, the lie, right? And so, I think that this is actually a good book for beginners, because while it does have a lot of depth, it's also really easy to understand. She does a really nice job of tackling some sort of, you know, more challenging concepts in a way that makes them super accessible. So I think beginners would do well with this book. And more advanced writers.
It's not a difficult read.
I agree. Yeah, it's not a difficult read. I see that Twitch Fixer is telling Aphrodite that KM Weiland also reads out her blog posts as podcasts, which I hadn't mentioned earlier, and that's the name of her site, Helping Writers Become Authors. So very helpful.
Mhm.
And I'm sure that there is, I am positive there's information on there on her website about creating character arcs and things of that nature. But I find that I like to have the book and to read like the full idea behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Spence says this was their first craft book as a real author, real writer. That's so cool.
That is cool. Yeah, and the thing is, it's not really cost prohibitive. I think the Kindle version was like $3 or $4.
Oh, it's very affordable. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel as though, unlike maybe with Writing in the Dark, you're getting the bang for your buck here. I feel like there's enough information. She's sharing so much that it feels like maybe I felt like, oh wow, maybe I underpaid for this.
Yeah, no, that was my first thought when I got when I first got it, because I was like, this is a $20 book, right? And I just paid whatever the standard Amazon thing is. But yeah, no, there is so much good stuff in here. And the one thing that she does, and kudos to her, that she does, well, I should say she doesn't do it that a lot of the other craft books that we've read have done, but she doesn't have like a section in the back of her book where she's kind of like, hey, this is a book I have coming out, right? And it's usually going to be like, your last 30 pages. Like Romancing the Beat did that. Writing Into the Dark did that. I can't remember what that last book that we all hated, but they did that too.
Authorpreneur.
Yeah,
Authorpreneur was like 75% promo and
it was promo for Vanity.
25% idiot. Sorry.
I'm not even going to get into it. If you guys are interested in hearing more about that book, it's in the playlist.
There's a 90-minute long rant for your viewing entertainment.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And Savvy did a video about that book recently, and she mentioned our stream. So.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. Actually, I think I saw that pop up in my playlist because she did him as one of her like takedown. Right? Is that?
Yeah. I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet because I'm still in the process of moving, but that's definitely it's on my to be watched. See if that popped up.
One of the things I thought was really interesting is like how she dived into like the 3 different arcs that were in here, because I think a lot of times when we talk about like character arcs, we only really just talk about like the positive arcs, right?
Right.
Yeah, we only really talk about the positive ones, but she goes into talking about what a flat arc looks like, which really is about the world changing around the character. And I wish you guys had been there when I was listening to that part, because I was biking to and from work at the time. I remember being at the stoplight, being, waiting to go. And she said it, and like my brain was like, I was like, what? I was like, what is this? What are you saying? And so and then I was so avidly listening to the rest of it, and I hated that I had to stop. But when we were talking about like the flat character arc, a really good example that she used for that was actually Captain America: Winter Soldier, because if you take a look, Rogers doesn't actually change.
No.
He doesn't change in that. It's everything around him that's changing. It's him struggling to adapt to the change. And so so that was like a really good example that I was able to pick up on, because that's like my jam, right? But yeah, so I love that she used that, and then she's got and she's got Batman Begins, because Batman doesn't really change.
Ever.
No, Batman doesn't change.
I am Batman.
But yeah, and I was just kind of like, that makes so much sense, because if you use those references and you're talking about a flat arc, then that kind of like gets you to understand about how you need to manipulate your story in order to do that. And the only example I could think of that applied to that's not really in here is No Big Surprise. It's a Jim Butcher book, but Jim Butcher's Harry Dresden series. He's got, I love him too. But his book Changes, that's a flat character arc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was all the world changing. Yeah.
Jeannie's asked, would this book be a good read if someone already has a good handle on character arcs?
Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
I felt like I had a good handle on character arcs, and then I felt like I learned a lot. So-
I felt the exact same way. I feel like I have a good handle on it, and I also feel like I learned some things.
So I feel like it's really helpful,
I-
and it's like a good mental exercise,
Mhm.
Yeah.
you know, because, and even as I was reading it, I was thinking, you know, we read all of these different books, and sometimes they're helpful and sometimes they're not, but it's the ones that while you're reading, or at least for me, I'll stop and start daydreaming about my story.
Mhm.
And it's
Mhm,
like,
mhm.
oh, this could happen, and this could happen, and this. That's when I'm like, oh, this book's fire. I like this one. So that's how I felt when I was reading this. Because even though I've been writing and been reading about writing for a while, when I'm able to think about a thing in a different way, it's good stuff.
It really
Kara,
is.
I cut you off. Carol, did you want to say something?
Oh, I wasn't sure if CJ was going to say something. I was like, oh wait, she might say something. I'm watching. No, okay. No, I just really I kind of view it in regards to like you go to school and you learn how to do algebra, right? But you only learn how to go through the motions of algebra. This will teach you the pedagogy of algebra, to use that as a metaphor there.
Say okay, sorry. Say it, Tamara.
I just love it. You're going to use a math metaphor in a room full of writers.
But
Yes.
it makes sense. Everybody understands that. Y'all get me. Oh my goodness.
We do. Okay. So does everybody? I was a math nerd, and I love math nerds. So yeah.
This one's
anyway.
marrying a math magician.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you're like, everybody got it, but I'm wondering, did everybody get it? Did everybody get it?
I
was. Yeah.
Wait, what
I think
was
they
that
can
word?
get it in context. They got it. They got it. Aphrodite's like, yes.
Pedagogy. That's the word. Pedagogy. That's
Rachel says, same. I find that books like this really help me change gears when I feel blocked. Eventually, I realize I've been daydreaming about my book rather than learning.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like part of the learning.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I love that. Brianna, well, I'm glad that we're able to maybe give you a direction to go in, because even if like right now, if it's cost prohibitive for you to get the book, I really do recommend checking out our website and looking her up on YouTube. Like Ms. Weiland,
and maybe check out a library where you might be able to get it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just going to say that most libraries now have access to ebooks through Overdrive or other places where you just use your library membership and you can get it right on your Kindle just like you would any other book. So, and with no charge, it's just get it from the library.
Twitch said something that kind of like made a thought trigger in my head, because they're talking about world building, and she actually in this book also talks about the differences between stories where you've got situation based, which is where you're focusing more in the world, and then when you're focusing on the character, which is actually the story. And so I really like how she broke that down. And there's like, she doesn't like, I don't remember her having like an actual chapter dedicated to plot versus character focus, but she does spend a lot of time talking about how people don't always read books to read about the world. They read about the characters. And that is kind of in line with a lot of things that I know about. Like one of my friends who wrote a craft book, he said that if you have characters that are talking and fighting, you have a bestseller. Like that was his motto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting point. She, in the beginning of the book, she was discussing how people often think of plot and character as two separate things. But throughout the book, she kind of tries to teach you that these things are not separate, that they're interlocked, they're interwoven, And by creating a stronger character arc, that's going to help with your plot building and your world
Right.
building.
Right.
Yeah, but there is a
Colin
workbook.
says that it was less than 4 pounds on Kindle.
Excellent.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And Jeannie pointed out that there's a workbook for it, and there is a workbook for it. But I will be honest, like I'm not gonna say you don't have to buy the workbook, but the workbook basically just asks the same questions that are in this book. I may have it, don't judge me. But if you're the kind of person that doesn't want to, like if you just want it like in a separate place where you physically write it in there, like there's lines and like space for you to go and work that all out in, but yeah, whatever works for you.
I'm not a big workbook person, but it's if that's your bag, then apparently it's available.
Some people like them.
Yeah. I have a cozy mystery workbook, and I've read through it and literally didn't write anything in it because I'm like, if I write in this, then the next book I'm going to be distracted by what I've already written.
Yeah, that was my thing with it, because I was like, maybe I can laminate it or make copies or do something, because I didn't want to write in it, didn't want to write in it. If it was like one of those things where it was like a monthly subscription, you get like a new one like every month for like $1.99, I'd probably be like writing in all of those.
Yeah.
There's an idea. I have a book. I can't remember what it's called.
Entrepreneurs.
Yeah. I have a book and I can't remember the Marshall Plan, maybe. The book I found convoluted and terrible. The workbook was excellent. I think it was the Marshall Plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Aphrodite and Grapefry, they both love workbooks.
No, it's there. It's very affordable.
Yeah. Let's see. Were there other questions that I thought of last night? Mm-hmm. When you are writing, do you think of character first or plot, just in general? And folks in the comments, when you're thinking about your story, or if you're writing your story, whether you're outlining it or if you're plotster, panster, whatever, where do you start from? Do you start with the character or you start with the plot?
Plot. I start with the plot.
I start with a situation. Like
Yeah.
it's always, like in my brain there's like a situation, and then like, so in Cherry Blossom, that started off with like a girl going through one of the national parks of Japan and stumbling across an actual like mythical shrine, right? And that was the situation I wanted. But that was just the starting point, right? So then at that point, like plotter brain had to come in and be kind of like, okay, so then what are my beats and where are my things and who are my characters, and and then how many characters do I actually need? I can't remember who it was who said it. Maybe you guys can help me with that. But somebody said if you're going to have a lengthy book, you need to have at least 20 different characters in it. And I don't mean that in a 20 different like POVs, but you've got your main characters and then you've got the other 20 that are kind
a
of
cast of 20
cast.
characters.
Thank you. Words. I said the word pedagogy, so all my other smart words.
You burned out the SAT portion of your brain.
Yeah, we're done.
I start the same way, a situation. My first book, I started with a woman like squatting behind a dumpster at like a Piggly Wiggly, spying on her husband. And
that was amazing, by the way. That was like, as soon as I started reading that in your book, I was like, man, I don't know what we're doing.
Thank you. But yeah, so I start the same way you do though, with the situation. And then you think, but I almost always have the character, like, because I almost like you need the character and the situation to kind of come together at the same time. It's like the person and the thing, the situation they find themselves in. And then I develop everything else. The character gets fuller from there. The plot is developed from there. But yeah, I'm a firm believer in like, what's the worst thing that could happen? Let's write a book about that.
I with Wiped Out, that story started with a situation. Burgess Taylor and Persephone Jones and we were having a discussion, and I think that maybe we were doing like, oh my gosh, was this at the time of the Google Hangouts where we were like everyone was still able to stream through Google Hangouts on YouTube. I think it might have been. And we were talking, and I heard something loud and like crazy happening at a neighbor's place. And I was like, oh my gosh. And we started talking about, whoa, what if what I was hearing was like a murder? It wasn't a murder, but what if it was, you know? What if it was a murder? What if this was what was happening? And like, you know, I would end the call and then go and explore the murder. And from there, it became Freya going out and exploring and finding a murder, essentially. But a lot of times I do start with a character, because even with that situation, I went back to, okay, well, who would this person be? And why would they be there? And what would make them want to go and explore that? Because, you know, fight or flight it's a real thing. So there has to be that motivator. And I write cozy mysteries for anyone who's new to me. So I always think of, okay, well, why is this particular person, what is making them be nosy enough and like not care enough about their own welfare and well-being to go and explore to see about a potential murderer where there could be a murderer and death like there, right? Like, why, what is your impetus? So, but I love it. In the comments, like, why are you up here caring about death? You know, it's different if it's like, oh, it's a cute guy and I want to like chat with him. No, it's a dead body.
I know with my first book, Queen of Swords and Silence, I usually say that was like my really in-depth character study, because what I did was I made Ghost and then I threw rocks at her to see what she would do. That was pretty much what I just kept doing the entire book.
That's your job, though. You just got to keep making trouble for her. That's your whole job. Just make her life a miserable living.
Yeah, but that was that book.
Yes, that's an excellent book. I happen to have that right here on my Kindle. It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
But yeah, so for that book, that was definitely, I started with a character first. That was that, like, I was very enamored with the concept of that character when I first wrote it, where I find with a lot of like my other like newer works that come out, like the situation comes up and then weirdly enough, I actually will flesh out the world and the situation, and then I go and I work on the characters, which I don't know if I would actually recommend that, because when the moment I flesh out the characters, I have to change the world. So it's like I'm working backwards, yo.
But for some reason, that's what your brain wants to do.
My brain's like, where are we? Figure out where we are. We are in a store. It's like, okay, who's your character? It's like, well, it's a fire witch. It's like, now the store is an apothecary. Like, what's happening?
It's so interesting because with me, you know, like I said, I go for the character, and I think of it like I think of writing stories as though I'm going on an adventure and I don't have a map. Like, I'm the kind of person that I'm like, let's go for a drive. Where are we going? I don't know. Let's go. Let's just get in the car. Let's just make it happen.
Was that this book that you were? Oh, there it goes. Hold on. Is that the book? Is that the book we're talking about? Are we talking about Wipeout?
I like this trend I've started. I'm quite fond of this.
Is this the one, Tamara?
Yes, that's the one.
You have another one. What's the title of that? I'm a surfer, and I love that title. What was it? I can't. Kara, do you remember that book? What was that called? That second one that just came out not very long ago. Hold on. I have it on my Kindle somewhere.
Are you talking about the one that's on pre-order right now?
Yeah. Did I just order it? Yeah. No, I thought I got to read it. Hold on. Let me check my Amazon account really fast while we're talking.
I bet all the links are in the video description down below.
Is there a link in the video description? I just look and see if there's a link in the video description. Y'all, I'm in the middle of moving and I am literally so incredibly scattered that there might not be a link, but I do have a book on pre-order.
You do. You do have a pre-order.
It is a tree. It's Regina and it's called Bailed Out.
Wait. Oh. Hold on. Did it go away?
Rachel says, my characters have built from their actions in the plot. I ask what made them do that after the fact.
Mm. That actually sounds kind of fun.
It does.
That sounds like something a psychologist would do. You did that thing. Tell me more about that thing that you just did.
Right.
Tell me about your motivations, darling. The cover clovers. The cover clovers. My mouth just went blah, blah, blah for that. Character and plot in the beginning, but once I get the general plot and the setting, the character gets the most attention. I dig that.
Mm-hmm.
Aphrodite
I've
says
been
she's a
thinking back.
sadist. What? It's always different, but I would say the majority of my tales start with plot, maybe 80-20 plot character.
Interesting. Dave is my fave, says Spence.
Dave's my fave too.
Everybody loves Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Aw, you guys are so sweet. Well, let's not talk about me because it makes me uncomfortable. And then the blush that's on my face, the too much blush that's on my face, will be like magnified.
No, it looks beautiful.
She's also got a Patreon.
Leave me alone!
I did just remember the name of that book that no one was helping me with was Bailed Out. And you know, it's available on pre-order. It's only like 99 cents.
She's going to kick us off in a minute.
Oh my gosh, we're going to start muting people.
She did that to me the other day.
TJ!
She muted you?
Yeah, I did mute her. Well, because she was teasing and making fun of Amy. Amy wasn't on the screen anymore. I was like, no. Here. You can't make fun of her if she's not there to defend herself.
I sent that to her.
Vince has a good comment.
Dude, oh my gosh, you guys.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Let's talk about the book again.
Fine.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I guess my question for you guys and maybe for the comment section is, do you ever, like, when we're talking about character growth, do you guys like really do like that in-depth thought about your character lie at all? Or is that something that maybe you're just doing in the subconscious?
I'm sorry, in-depth thought about your character what at all?
The character lie, the lie that they tell themselves.
Yeah. I thought you said life at first, and I was like, what?
Lie.
The lie the character tells themselves is my favorite part of any story. It is absolutely my favorite part because I really enjoy the moment when they confront that lie, recognize it for what it is, and move toward the truth. Like, that is my favorite part of the story. So that lie really drives it. I can remember going to see Wonder Woman, and the moment when she recognizes her lie was like, I was like, oh, that's it right there. That's it. And I was really excited. And yeah.
And the movie happened.
Right.
There's that.
I also really love the lie, but I actually love it for the opposite reason. I love all the ways that it screws up the character. Like, I love all the things they avoid or the mistakes they make. I love all the problems that the lie causes. Love that. I mean, I do like for them to resolve it, but yes.
Well, of course. But the problem making is the fun part, right?
Yes.
I think that I have in the past, it was more of like an unconscious thing. Whereas now, post reading this, it'll be more of a conscious effort. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Writer's Block Party says, I love the lie because it infects everything. Much like Lisa was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like trying to figure out what that is because that really does change like your character motivations as well. She uses Toy Story as an example with Woody and about how, you know, in order for him to be, you know, who he is, he has to be Andy's favorite. So when he's not Andy's favorite anymore, you know, how that basically affects all the relationships around him and almost makes him like, I don't want to say behave toxically, but he definitely behaves like haphazardly, and it almost jeopardizes all the relationships that he has at one point.
Right. Aphrodite says, I always ask my characters, what do you want? And then I give it to them, then make them pay dearly for it. Lol, so much fun. MM says, I love the lie they know is there, but continue to present as truth.
Mm-hmm.
You want to have something to say about this book, sir?
Is that a Bones nose?
Nah, it's a ranger nose. I also read the book, and I found it to be very insightful.
Oh, Ranger. Oh,
Is he still working on that cat trilogy?
Yeah, he is. Oh, thank you. So this one right here.
Yay!
Yay!
I'm so excited to see what happens with it.
Me too.
Yes, if you guys haven't seen, Caro has had like a big secret she's been keeping.
Good.
And she did a video about it yesterday.
Yes. I applaud you, Lisa, for not like pinging me for like every day after that, because I literally on my stream was like, I have a secret and I'm gonna tell everybody on Friday, and she's like, no, I'm good. You have to tell me now. I was like, no.
I'm like, okay, fine.
Spence, oh wait, a dog, bingo. I liked learning a bit more about flat character arcs because I've heard things in the past, but I don't feel like any of it really stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So this was good, and it reminded me that their importance in like creating a full plot. Kitty. Oh.
Yeah, apparently his mother isn't giving him enough attention.
It's that portion of the stream where animals
Just
make
appear.
their presence and just hang out. Bonnie, thank you so much.
It's a super pair. It's flying like Superman.
Nice. It's like Wonder Woman, but a pair. That's perfect. Thank you.
That's perfect. Sorry.
I love a pun. Oh my gosh. I am punch drunk. Let's see. Did you feel you needed to? All right, I saw it. Yep. We like the examples.
Yeah.
And the examples were fun because then you're seeing that breakdown with examples that are familiar with you in a way that you might not have thought of them before. So that was fun.
Yeah, the Captain America Batman reference to flat character arcs, I was like, oh my god, she's right.
Yeah.
They never change.
Yeah, exactly.
That change. Batman was stunted at like 11 and just stayed there.
Right?
Yes.
Gotta love a character with focus, right? Right.
So do we want to go over any final thoughts? We're getting close to the top of the hour here.
Yeah, I'm down.
Let's start with you, Caro. You're down.
She's down.
You're down to play.
This is what I get for Volun. Okay, Volun told us. All right, so I'm just going to put that right there. So I do recommend this book. I thought it was really insightful. I thought it was really useful. I think it is new writer friendly. And with all the examples and the information that's in here, I think it's, I always tell people when they ask me for like top 3 craft books, this is always number 1 that I always recommend because the information here is just really valuable and it's easy to follow. It's easy to understand. There's no ego in the writing, and I don't have to deal with like 25% of the last part of the book being some promo for something that's coming out. So I love it.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I agree with everything you said. Sorry. I know you didn't ask if I agreed, but I just really, I
feel validated. I'm validated.
Yes.
CJ, what are your final thoughts?
I really like this. Actually, I was thinking about this afternoon, and we had read Goals, Motivation, and Conflict, I think last year, or was that earlier this year? I don't know. This year has been really long, so I can't remember when we did other things.
It's not even over.
But I know.
Oh my
God. I've lost track of all like actual time. But I thought this would be a really good pairing. Goals, Motivation, and Conflict. to work through the things that they talked about in that book and this book. And so I've decided I'm going to pull them both up and work through that. So yeah, overall, excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Lisa?
Yeah. Well, I just glommed on to what everybody else said. Thank you, everyone. I agree. I thought it was really fantastic. I definitely recommend it. I think if you want to write a series, that part was the most sort of illuminating to me, and maybe that's because that's what I know the least about. That's was the area where I felt like I learned the most. But yeah, I think this is a really, really good book, and I think it's one of those books that that writers should read. So, and there aren't that many where I say that, because there are lots and lots of good books, but I really was very impressed by this one.
And the book that CJ mentioned was GMC, Gold, Motivation, and Conflict by Deborah Dixon. We did read this last year during season 1 of Writer's Workshop. And I think that, we kind of did a survey amongst ourselves to see which books we found the most helpful, and this was number 1 last year. It was between that and Newsletter Ninja. So yeah, and I feel like this book, where did I put it? It's right here. I feel like this book is going to be one of my tops for this year. This has been a really helpful read. It's helping me to see Freya in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Even though a lot of those things, for me, sometimes I'll have the things set up and I'll have the ideas, but reading this helped me to focus and to put a name to things.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a label, that's label stuff.
Yeah.
And even though some of the information, because I've read so many craft books, so some of the information I'd already read before, but it was like a refresher and new things. So I recommend this. I recommend. And again, if cost is prohibitive, if you can't get it at the library, and even if you can, check out our website. Check it out. So helpful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So very helpful. And golly, gee whiz. Gee whiz, you guys. I feel like this has been a great conversation and I've enjoyed having it. And I've loved what you guys have been saying in the comments. You've made this conversation so much richer by sharing your experiences with us.
Mm-hmm.
And I figure that we should do some outros. And we'll start with Lisa, so I'll stop picking on Caro.
Thank you for having me. I always love this. I thought this was a really great book. I'm Lisa Daly. I'm a traditionally published author of contemporary women's fiction and dating advice. And over on my channel, we talk about how to write a book you're super proud of and get it published, and all sorts of things publishing and writing related. So thank you very much for having me. I really love this.
Yay, I'm so glad. And Miss CJ.
Hello, I'm CJ Boyer. I'm a writer of things. Yeah, this has been really fun. I look forward to this all month, and it's been a good time.
Huzzah. And now just the Caro.
Hi, my name is Cara Brown. I'm a urban fantasy author. I also write romance. I came out with a story in this book a couple weeks ago called The One Bed, Only One Bed, Volume 2. I don't know what we do. There's only one bed. Sorry, I don't sell that very well, but...
Oh, no, there's only one bed. What shall we do?
Brown chicken, brown cow.
Oh my. Okay, so... I noticed that a lot of you said that you actually would like to get a copy of this book. I have 2 copies. There's one I've written in, so maybe we could talk about a giveaway, and I can give one to one of you wonderful, lovely people here in the comment section.
Ooh. A giveaway. Hey, it's a giveaway.
Ooh. So I'm gonna I'll think about that. So there's a giveaway for this book. If you guys are interested, I'll probably come out with some more details about it this week. On my channel, we talk about the life of Cara Brown. who is a former grad student, now graduate, and now I have a publishing company. So if you are, yay! So if you guys would like to watch my journey, basically running this company, and learn from my mistakes as I make them, that will probably be something coming in the future. Thanks for having me.
Would you be interested in putting the giveaway in the Writers Workshop Goodreads group?
I would indeed be interested in doing that.
So, hey, everybody, there's a Writers Workshop Goodreads group. The link is down there in the description if you want to hang out. This group is super important to this podcast. Should this be a podcast?
It should.
All right, sorry. It's very important because the group is who decides what we read for the month. We give like 5 or 6, sometimes 7 options, and then there's a vote. So if you'd like to be involved with a giveaway for the book, if you would like to help us to figure out books for next month, you should join. However, caveat, I am not sure if we're going to be doing this next month or not, because as I've stated a couple times during this stream, I'm moving. And I'm moving from Hawaii to West Virginia. And I'm moving during a global pandemic. There's a lot. There's a lot to unpack.
And a lot to pack.
So I'm not sure. Kara's either very interested or she's frozen. So I'm not sure if we'll be able to do that. And I will keep you updated in social media and in the Goodreads group itself. If anyone would be interested, I have a survey where I'm asking about merch. So it's on my it's on the community tab on YouTube, and I just put it in the comments there if anyone would be interested in letting me know if you're interested in merch from me. It's also on my Patreon, which these lovely ladies have mentioned. That's links in the description.
Did you guys know that when she hits 50 patrons, we can get physical copies of her books? I need this to happen, yo.
Me too. Me too. I need them. I need them. I need them. I need them.
I love you guys.
Yes, we're ready, right? We are ready for physical copies of these books. They match my office. I feel like I need them. Plus, I really love the first one.
Thank you. And if you are interested in the second one, there I posted the pre-order link in the comments. And if you're just wondering, should I give this woman any of my money for any of her work, I have a freebie, and there's a link for that in the description. Midnight Murder tells a tale of these 3 cousins, Freya, Issa, and oh my gosh, Naylina.
Okay, I have to say I'm so glad I'm not the only one who does that. Like,
I do it all the time.
And someone else.
It's this other girl who is like my low-key favorite. So, wow. Anyways, their tale of how the last day of school when they're tweens and some weird stuff goes down. And, of course, there's a murder. So you can sign up for my newsletter and get a copy of that. And then you can decide whether or not you want to buy any more books for me. And if you want to get off of that newsletter, get the book and get off of it because you decide that I am full of crap, feel free. Feel free.
No one.
I will not be mad at you. I will know, though, because I see what you sign. I'll know, but I'm not going to hate you for it.
Probably.
Oh my gosh, this has been great. I needed this. I appreciate you guys for being here for all the shenanigans. And I don't know what's happening next in my agenda, so we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for being here. Bye. Have a happy weekend. Oh, wait. Lisa, you're doing a stream.
I am. We are. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so tonight I almost forgot. You know why? I need to put it in my planner. Tonight is Carol and Lisa. I don't even know my name. Carol and Lisa's boozy planner-orama.
She's already sober, yo.
Hashtag stickers and liquor. I am completely sober. Can you imagine if I have a margarita, what that's gonna be like? Yeah, we're gonna plan out October and generally have a good time. So yes, that's over on my channel tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for mentioning it.
No problem. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be there because I'm going to be
Packing.
dealing with my life. But I will be there with you in spirits. I'm probably going to be drinking tonight. Okay.